army to fire on the unarmed protesting Buddhist monks, and a lot of the Buddhist monks died. It could be in the thousands, but the official numbers was less than 100.
The Saffron Revolution then was crushed with military might, with guns, with bullets.
Today, if you walk around downtown Rangoon, you might still see monks walking in procession, saying Buddhist prayers, doing exactly what they have been doing for centuries. But what you don't know is that many of these monks have endured incredible brutality at the hands of the Burmese militaries and the military intelligence.
There are tourists who go to Burma and they could travel around for weeks and come back and think they've seen the most happy-go-lucky country they've ever seen. However, aside from the glorious Buddhist temples and the Buddhist festivities and all that, underneath that there is a dark Burmese history, a history of very brutal despotic kings that would sacrifice virgins at the cornerstones of their new palaces, who would execute people and even monks almost arbitrarily for defying them.
The vast majority of people are afraid of government. It's been part of their heritage for 1,000 years. Government wasn't designed to solve problems for local people. It was designed to protect them from foreigners and from deviant ethnic groups. Those people who seize power and govern through the centuries are not people out to do good for the common person.
A lot of these generals are often from very poor families, and the only way that they can improve their quality of life, and you cannot blame them for wanting to do that, is to get into the military. Because it's not like they're gonna get into a good school and work hard and work their way up. They can't do that because schools are bad. And so what happens is that the military is just packed with people who are completely uneducated. And so they're very susceptible to brainwashing and blind obedience, essentially.
We're not looking just at individuals who are greedy. We're looking at people who honestly feel they're doing good, that they are the right kind of people to govern because that's the way their mothers and fathers taught them.
They believe, I think, that they are single-handedly keeping together this country that has been very difficult to keep together for all the centuries. I think they think that they're misunderstood, that they're working extremely hard for this country and that no one really appreciates what they're doing. I also think that, clearly they're involved in creating a kleptocracy and that they've gotten a little distracted from that, quote-unquote noble task that they were engaged in, and now they're more involved perhaps in stripping the country of its resources. This is the way I think. Who knows what they think? But fundamentally, ultimately, it's a mystery as to how they think. Nobody talks to them. They don't get information from their own people, let alone from the outside world in any way that's coherent. But my guess is they think that they're doing the best job that they can possibly do and that they work incredibly hard at it.
There are those who are of the opinion that without a military government there can be no stability in Burma. But I do not think I agree with that, because I think real stability can only come if the government of a country and the people of the country can work in unity and they have confidence in each other. A firm, strong, authoritarian hand cannot create unity. It can only give the appearance of unity.
On May 2nd, 2008, Cyclone Nargis made landfall in the Delta region of Burma.
That was a storm that charged in at 105 miles per hour speed. That's how hell broke loose in Burma.
After Nargis hit and took the worst possible route through Burma, and then hit the capital, Yangon, head-on without even losing energy, the cyclone winds were so violent that in villages, the thatch houses were just being blown away, and parents, in many cases, actually tied their kids to trees so the kids wouldn't blow away. The tragic thing is, in much of this area, then the tidal surge came in, a 20-foot-high wall of water.
The estimated death toll from Nargis is upward of 130,000 people.
The Burmese government's response was to downplay it, to pretend that they were in full control of the rescue and recovery process and the cleanup efforts. 45 minutes away from Rangoon in Bangkok airport, there were medical supplies, medical professionals. They were all sitting idle, waiting to get into the country because the Burmese military regime wouldn't grant them permission to come into the country.
The Burmese authorities would not let these ships come in and unload. They would not let the supplies be brought in by helicopter or any other means.
But on the ground, as every hour passes, things grew more desperate.
I was in these devastated areas. They desperately needed all the help they could get, and they certainly weren't getting it from the Burmese regime. There were hundreds of thousands of orphaned kids, and these kids, they were just swept away by the tidal surge that went through the delta and deposited miles away. But young kids don't even know the name of their own village. They don't even know the proper names of their own parents because they call their parents mom and pop.
We need change in Burma. Burma is a rich country because of its natural resources, but our most important resource is a human resource, and that has been neglected. Our people do not have adequate education, they do not have adequate health care. We want to build up a society of people who are allowed to care for themselves, who are allowed to shape their own destiny.
I really worry and concerned about the people in Burma, how they are going to live, how they are going to raise their children, how they are going to make a plan for their future generations to live in Burma.
Forget for the moment about the kind of government that they have, which is a lousy government from most anybody's point of view. Some see them as just persisting in holding their own power. From my vantage point, there is a slow slippage of power as young people, particularly the grandchildren of the current group, are hanging on to Western ways. Those Western ways are very dangerous from the vantage point of their grandparents. But from their vantage points, they want the same access that Indian kids and Chinese kids and Thai kids have to the rest of the world. And that's happening.
I just want this country to prosper. It used to be like the second richest country in Asia. Now it just dropped to the bottom. I don't want to let it happen, you know.
You care about this country.
Of course I do. Yeah.
My hope is that, all the people in Burma start thinking about what they want, what they really want, and try to get it. Right now, all they know is like Aung San Suu Kyi is the only hope. But, we have to find another way as well.
Nobody dares to talk about politics before the public in Myanmar. it is very sensitive and it's really hard for Myanmar youth to discuss about politics, and I have never been asked such kind of question.
Does that make you nervous?
Yeah, make me nervous.
In Myanmar, we rarely speak out our feelings, even with my parents, with our friends. This is my first time I speak out my feelings, my perspective, my personal view.
And how does it feel?
I think feel weird and strange and excited. Great feeling, but
Good.
Weird because it's the first time.
Really? In your whole life?
Yes, in my whole
You
life.
can't talk to friends?
Yes, it's Myanmar way, it's Myanmar culture.
My generation, I think we are quite conservative. The new generation is totally different. Something that we cannot understand. They are more frank, open, friendly, and they may have more chances.
For those kids who are in the regular classes, children of the people who are well-to-do, the only thing that they are thinking now is to get a good education, get out of the country. Anywhere is good, except Burma. Anywhere from Burma, which is a sad thing because nobody is willing to stay back home to take care of what is needed to be done.
Yeah, what's the future for Burma? That's a good question. Burma can go one of several ways. In the best case scenario, Burma would slowly but surely build up a thriving democracy and turn into a decent country. And in the worst case scenario, Burma can descend into a hell like Cambodia did.
Young people now are much more self-aware than were their older brothers and sisters 50 years ago. What I see when I go back is a country building on very old foundations. And there's a power in that that is missing in Thailand and Malaysia and Vietnam. And it's a power that 50 years hence is going to be a hell of a lot more demonstrable than what those countries have.
Preserving the tradition and cultures is a good thing. These are very important to see the real picture of Burma. But the sustainability of those cultures and traditions and the uniqueness without the economic resources, do you think that they can sustain them?
What I realize now is that there is a whole generation of young Burmese people who have never tasted the fruit of democracy, what it means to speak your mind, what it means to think, read, write what you feel like saying or writing or doing. There is a whole generation of Burmese people who cannot understand the idea of speaking their mind freely without thinking about consequences.
This is like kind of hard for me to say that without feeling sad, because Burma is not like that. Burma is not like the way that the war has seen. We are a proud country and we can be independent, and we are not begging for charity. We are asking for some help so that we will be giving a fair chance to stand on our own feet and be a proud member of the world's community. I have hope, but at the same time, I'm a realist. Things will not happen on its own. It has been ongoing. It has been rotting for the last 40 years.
Sometimes I play alternative history games, just to imagine what Burma might be like if it is not living under a military regime. And I think about the fact that there are lots of young people who have stories they cannot tell because of the political situation that they live under. I would love to hear those stories. I would love to hear the stories about falling in love for the very first time. I'd love to hear the stories about discovering medieval Burmese heroes for the first time, and tell Burmese history in the way that it is supposed to be told, not the way the state-sponsored education system tells you should learn, not the way that the school textbooks tells you how history took place. And I would love to see Burma one day become that kind of country. The kind of country where you can speak, read, write poetry the way your heart tells you to do it.
Do you think of yourself
Sir, this is her.
The girl who tells fortunes.
They're doing a magic spell to make her win a race.
The horse's name's Monaghan Boy. Kempton, 3 o'clock, Monday. You ladies have a bet yourselves, but don't tell anyone else. Tommy.
He's a god, he's a man, he's a guru. You're one microscopic cog in his catastrophic plan, designed and directed by his red right hand.
Finn?
Arthur's mad as hell.
What does a 10-year-old know about hell, eh?
I'm 11 Sunday.
Tell me.
It's your best in now for the 2:30 at Kempton. Right, what we got on versus Viper? Party game, running this off, mate. Down to fours. Okay, Morgan boy. You want to push that now, mate? 2 towards Phil. Two to one, get your bets in now. What do you say? We got Topper in, he's an old favourite. 4 to 1. Let's see now.
Tommy! Tommy! Tommy, look at the book. Yeah, what do you want, man? Just look.
Tommy!
All on Monaghan, boy.
Good work, John.
Tommy!
Get in here, now.
That'll be 6 pennies, Nipper. That's 10 bob you'll see for that.
Now, you were seen doing the powder trick down at Garrison Courts.
Times are hard. People need a reason to lay a bet.
There was a Chinese.
The washerwomen say she's a witch. It helps them believe.
We don't mess with Chinese.
Look at the book.
Chinese have cutters of their own.
We agreed, Arthur. I'm taking charge of drumming up new money.
What if Monaghan Boy wins, Tommy? You fix him races now. Do you have permission from Billy Kimber to be fixing races? And what's got into you? You think we can take on the Chinese and Billy Kimber? Billy's got a bloody army!
I think, Arthur. That's what I do. I think. So that you don't have to.
There's news from Belfast.
Down from Trumside Flats. Down to National.
I'm calling a family council tonight at 8 o'clock. I want all of us there. You hear me? There's trouble coming.
Shut up now. Shut up. Comrades, we're here today to take a vote on strike action. Yes! But before we have a show of hands for that, Let's have a show of hands from all those who fought in France. All those who stood side by side with your comrades and watched your comrades fall. Raise your hands. The blood shed on Flanders fields. The sweat of your brows. Who reaps the rewards? Is it you?
No.
Is it your wives?
No.
Well, who then? Do they stand among us?
No.
Or do they sit at home, comfortable, with a full belly, while you scrape to find enough to put shoes on your children's feet? And what is the reward they offer you for your sacrifices made? A fucking cut in your wages. That is your reward. Raise a hand, all those who want to strike.
On the house, Mr. Shelby.
Take a mild.
Right.
Cheers, Thomas. Good health to you. Crown of a prince. Soon to be king, I'd bet.
You don't bet.
No. These past few days I've been speculating.
About what?
One of my union comrades has a sister, works in a telegraph office at the BSA factory. She says over the past week they've had messages coming up from London to the brass, from Winston Churchill himself. Something about a robbery? Robbery of national significance, it said. She found a list of names left on the telegraph machine. And on that list was your name and my name together. What kind of a list would have a name of a communist and a name of a bookmaker side by side?
Perhaps it's a list of men who give false hope to the poor. The only difference between you and me, Freddie, is that sometimes my horses stand a chance of winning.
You know, there are days when I hear about the cuttings and beatings that I really wish I'd let you take that bullet in France.
Believe me, there are nights I wish you had.
On three! 1, 2, 3, down! Breathe, Danny! Breathe!
I got to go, mate!
Danny! Danny! Danny, you're home. We're all home in England. You're not in